Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight and being a part of this. I'm excited that so many of you decided to show up and be here this evening. I said something Sunday. I'm going to just reiterate it tonight. That when we heard that there was a problem with daycare in Logansport, the Logansport church stepped up and we started a daycare right here in our church because we knew it was an issue, something we needed to do. When we heard that there was a problem with drug and alcohol addiction in our community and there was an opioid epidemic, we stepped up to the plate and we started to celebrate recovery. When we heard that they needed a place to have small places in churches to pick up food, we became a place that would have that food. This church, notoriously, has stepped in and made a difference whenever there was something going on. And so tonight, that's part of our goal again, is to step into what's going on in our community. We're not here tonight because we're angry. We're not here tonight because we want to create a scene. We're here tonight because we want to learn. Repeat with me, we want to learn. We want to learn. That's why we're here, okay? That's the purpose of being here tonight. I'm expecting that we will be respectful to each other as we have gathered in this place this evening. I want you to hear what it says in Colossians 3, and hopefully this will set the tone for us. It says, put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge of the image of its creator. Here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian or Scythian, slave or free. But Christ is all and is in all. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, with kindness, with humility, with gentleness and patience. Bear with each other. Forgive whatever grievance you have against one another. Forgive as the Lord has forgiven you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. That's our goal tonight, to live out what it means to be Christians in Logansport. Father God, thank you for this chance to be here tonight. Thank you, Lord, for these men behind me that are willing to come tonight and just to share with us and to help us to know and to understand more about our community. And Father, I pray that you will help us as we hear and even as we ask questions to tonight be filled with your love, to be people of love, to be people who are kind and compassionate, people that are gracious. And Lord, may we, as we leave here, have a new and a deeper love for people that we don't quite understand yet. So open our eyes, open our ears. Help us, Lord, not to come with some preconceived notion. The Holy Spirit, you've got freedom to do in this place what you need to do in this place. Because we have said for the last 8 weeks, Jesus, this is your house. Do as you see fit tonight. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I stopped and saw Travis. I don't know, it was earlier last week, I guess. Travis and I, we sat down, we had to talk, and I had coffee with one of the members of our congregation, and as we were having coffee, they were talking about what had been going on at some of the things in Logansport, and I said, I need to go down and see Travis. Travis is a part of our congregation. Love Travis, respect him, prayed for him for a number of years, and as I sat and talked with Travis, this was something that we felt would be helpful. So tonight, as we thought about this, we drug Matt into the middle of it because he is Mr. Aficionado at being able to do public interviews. So Matt, come up and guide us through this evening's proceedings.
All right. So we had our staff meeting Thursday, and this event was born out of our staff meeting, and we decided that we need to not just be an example of what we as Jesus followers handle what's going on, but we need to lead and really get in front of this. So that's what we're doing tonight. And if you could real quick, because I want you to kind of talk about how Stenway got here tonight, because it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it really is. So we had this meeting with the staff, and I went over to Indiana Wesleyan to have lunch with my daughter, and I'm telling my daughter this brainchild idea that the staff had, and she goes, you need to get a hold of Stenway because Stenway comes from Haiti, and he probably can give you some great information. And I'm like, well, okay. So my daughter, Jessica, got a hold of his wife, and he was in a meeting. And he did not know that I was coming to see him at 3:30. And so I walked in, knocked on the door, and Stenway's like, who in the heck are you? You didn't say that, but that's kind of the impression, And I started telling the situation, and so we had this great conversation. Find out that him and my son Jeremy are really good friends, and Jeremy's been to his house a number of times. He comes here tonight, he's hugging on Luke, And so he's known Luke for a long time. So it's just really interesting how God just kind of put some pieces in
Brought
place
all this together for sure
to help us for tonight.
So Stenway, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of your background, where you're from, and a little bit of your story.
Test. There we go.
There we go.
So, my name is Stenway Luve, and I was born and raised in Haiti, particularly on Sagale Lagunav, which when you think of Haiti, it's like a little island shaped like this, but then there's a small little island within that. That's where I'm from. And I also want to start by saying I am no expert. The only expertise I have is I read my Bible and I try to do what the Lord calls me to do, as well as I'm Haitian, and I can provide some context and information about that as best as I can in the ways in which your community experiencing the culture of our people. So I transitioned here with to the States with my entire family when I was about, I think, 10 at the most. We lived in Miami, West Palm Beach, Boynton Beach, then Orlando. From Orlando, we transitioned to North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina, where I spent majority of my formative years through middle school, high school, some college, and then I transferred to Indiana Wesleyan University, where I have been since 2013, and now I am a staff member there, and that is who I am.
Can you give us some background on what's happening politically right now in Haiti?
There's a lot. I mean, it depends on what you're referring to, but politically, there's a lot going on in the sense that Haiti is experiencing all kinds of turmoil from, I think, since 1804, really. But recently, when the president was assassinated, it's been downhill from there. And then you have a neighboring country where you're experiencing, Haitian are being deported from Dominican Republic back to Haiti. These are kids and people that have never lived in Haiti, but because of their background. So those are just two of the major aspects that are going on to give you a picture of what is happening within a small country.
So give us a nutshell of Haitian culture.
When you say a nutshell,
Yes.
say more.
So I guess just give us a snapshot of what Haitian culture looks like. Major differences between here and there, that sort of thing.
Interestingly enough, I see more similarities than differences, but yeah. So when you think of Haitian people, we are very proud individuals in as an entire country and culture. When you think about being the first black country to gain your independence in 1804, that's something to be proud of. We deeply value respect, value family, value faith. We are very hardworking people, as you can imagine. Country with independence in 1804 and no surrounding countries and major countries recognizing them because of that. You go through some stuff. Very hopeful people. One of the things that my parents still instilled in me, and I thought it was just them, but it turns out as I did more and more life with more and more Haitians in my adult life, I realized it runs to the fiber of a lot of us, where no matter what today looks like, no matter how hard today is, tomorrow is going to be a better day. And we truly, truly believe that. So that's kind of a snapshot of what some of the cultural aspect, both similarity and difference. And, it shows up in a variety of different ways.
Right. So, talking to Aaron about this, family is very important. Obviously, when you came here with your whole family to the States, food is also very important to Haitian culture, right?
Yes. If you can't tell, I love food.
I was going to say you're in good company here, man. So, but also, one of the things I think that people have noticed is Haitian people seem very serious. There's not a lot of smiling going. I mean, you're up here smiling, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of smiling going on. Can you speak into that?
So, I am married to a small town white girl from Sharpsville, Indiana. Yes, I don't even think they have a stoplight. But I remember vividly. We have this digital picture frame in our living room, and we have about 500 pictures on there. And one of them was of me and my sister, and I was about maybe 6, 7 years old. And he asked me, "Why you look so mean or so mad?" What do you mean? I don't look mad. I was happy that day, actually. She's like, "What?" And then I began to evaluate all the different pictures that were in my house growing up. Now, there are some pictures where we were smiling, but then I started looking at some of my Haitian friends and family members' social media profile. We don't really smile in pictures. It's not that we're mad. It's just I can't even explain it. We just don't smile. Now I smile in pictures because part of me has been Americanized. Naturally, when I am embedded in a culture, in a community, I am going to be influenced by that community, whether or not I realize it. So now, yes, I smile, especially if I'm taking a picture with my wife.
Smart man. So I mean, it would stand to reason that because there's such a focus and family is so important in Haitian culture that especially the dad, the male of the family, would do whatever they can for the best of their family, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I give you one example of this. So when I was in 8th grade going to high school, 2 of my cousins randomly moved in with us. Parents didn't even communicate that, which I guess they were paying the bills looking back. They lived with us for 6 years. And I mean, these men have like whole family back in Haiti, wife, multiple kids. It wasn't until about close to graduating high school, I realized they have been sending every single dollar they make back to Haiti to take care of their family. And these guys, they're sleeping in my living room every morning. They pick up their bed, get ready, and go to work. They leave before I even get ready for school. I only see them get ready because I'm an early bird. I don't even see them when they come back. Now, my cousin Eve, spelled Yves, he probably has more money than me right now. And he spent about a decade working at Grandover Hotel and worked his way up to becoming a supervisor and a manager. And now he has built his family a beautiful home in Haiti, and they are thriving. All because he sacrificed time with his family to come here, work hard, and go back and be with them. And now he has brought them as a family to the United States. And they travel back and forth, but now they're thriving here.
That's probably a story that can be repeated time and time again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Anybody have any questions for Stenway? So what is the Haitian language?
The Haitian language is Creole, Haitian Creole. It's spelled Creole. And there are a variety of Creole languages, particularly within that area, multiple islands. But ours is Haitian Creole. It's very close and similar to French. You friend here or in Haiti? So, yeah. No, it's a good question. I'm chuckling because in Haiti, parents have this saying, 3 L's: l'école, la caille, l'église. School, home, church. If you're not in one of those three places, you better be with me, right? And so, any Haitian that tells you their parents didn't say you need to be a doctor or a lawyer, they're lying to you. Take education very, very seriously.
Anybody else?
She was testing me, y'all. See?
Yeah, obviously.
I like that critical thinking.
That's right. Anybody else? So is English no second language in Haiti?
It's not a second language, but we do learn. I will say that our language system, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, proud to say that our language system is actually better than the United States in the sense that when you graduate high school, you actually come out being fluent in 3 languages: Creole, French, and Spanish. When you graduate college, I should say, Creole, French, and Spanish. And so English, it's very rare that people speak English as a common thing, but the highly educated and or ones who have families in the United States that travels back and forth do speak English, but for the most part, we don't speak English fluently. I had to learn like every single thing I know except for thank you and please. Outside of every random word that I learned from movies before I came here. don't ask me for embarrassing stories like that, man.
Anyone else? Hold on. What'd you say? Okay, so why America?
Me or Haitian in general? I mean, from what I've been learning, it's the land of opportunities, in the sense that Haitian people, some of the similarities that I see is the pursuit of happiness. So when you mix working hard with the pursuit of happiness, you will do whatever you can to do that, right? And so when you look at the and again, this is me speaking from what I know. I'm no expert. When you look at how close Haiti is to Florida and how the United States is viewed from the rest of the world, why not? For me, my father used to travel back and forth. He was the director of compassion ministries in Haiti, and the man basically just gave and sacrificed everything he had in Haiti for his family, in the sense that we weren't super wealthy or anything, but we did okay in Haiti. But at the time, $1 here was, I think, somewhere between $10 to $20 in Haiti. Now, coming from here to Haiti, that's great. But the opposite, you basically have no money. So we transitioned here as a family because my father and my mother wanted a better opportunity for their kids. And me, as a Haitian kid, graduated high school, got my bachelor's, got my master's, and my wife and I are working at Indiana Wesleyan universities, both of us in director roles. My father could not have imagined that, although I think he's lying. I know he very much so saw it, but he will often talk to me, and you can hear in his voice, like on the brink of tears, how proud he is, and how all the things that we went through to make it this far, to now I and several of my siblings have families of our own and are doing great. My little sister just graduated with her second master's degree. So that's why.
Go ahead. Hold on.
With the news going on today, all the stuff that you see on television and some animosity, how do you respond to that? How do you yourself and your friends and family, how does it make you feel? What do you want us to know about that?
That's a really good question. To answer the first part of the question as to what do I do about it, I try really hard to only do things that are within my control. I can't control what people say on national television, but in terms of how I feel, like at times I am saddened for my people, but I'm also saddened for the people that are viewing them and saying these things in the ways in which they are, because at the end of the day, some of the aspects of what we're seeing comes down to affirming the dignity of others. And when you look at it from a biblical perspective, we're all looking at values of hospitality, welcoming our neighbors. That's not easy. But when you start at affirming the dignity of others, how God sees us, that is a crucial starting place, because we then start from the right place. We can then seek to understand rather than judge.
So that's a good segue to you two, Sheriff Ed Schroder and Police Chief Travis Yike. You guys have heard a lot of information. You've heard a lot of questions. You guys have been kind of, at the front line of this. So what are some things that you want to, I guess, address first and foremost about what's being said, about what's going on? So where do you guys want to start with that?
I'll go ahead and start, Sheriff. There was not 25,000 Haitians dropped off at the fairgrounds. We did confirm that. So let's kind of clear up some rumors, right?
Let me segue to that real quickly.
ahead, Sheriff.
We're going to tag team a little bit. We talk almost daily. Criminal justice and our community is what we live. And the rumor mongering, the things that continue, there were two exact Thursdays that I got calls that we were setting up lanes for dropping off busloads of Haitians at the fairgrounds. I tracked down the first one. Do you know what it was? High school FFA buses dropping off kids for a meeting. The second one is exactly what we do as the sheriff's office, where we do driver's training. It's the Logansport Police Department out there doing driver's training, and the cones that they had set up were the course, not the egress routes for the buses to get away quickly. Those are the rumors that continue to propagate to us. So that's what we spend a lot of time tracking down and following through, trying to help head some of this off. So,
No, exactly right, because we want to be transparent with the public. We know there's issues in the public. We know that there's rumors going on, so we try to combat that and stay ahead of those. And I open with that is those were the things we were dealing with 3-4 weeks ago.
right.
Our department was out there training, and hey, Chief, they're dropping busfuls of Haitians off at the fairgrounds, and your police officers are out there. No, my guys are and women are training. We do it every Tuesday of every month, and that was just where we were doing it at, like the sheriff said, doing our driving training with our vehicles and some other stuff. So we try to stay ahead of these rumors, or at least try to put the fires out where they need to be put out. We don't monitor Facebook. I'll just go there with that. So these are concerns, right, that we talked about. So we don't monitor Facebook, and I see a lot of information, or somebody sends it to me, or whatever the case may be. I'm sure with the sheriff, or we share the information back and forth, like, hey, Sheriff, this is what's being said here, and then we try to combat and figure out what is, which ones we need to really deal with.
To
right?
add to that, I've received phone calls from people asking me, so the chief's appointed by the mayor, I'm elected by the people. And if you're a sovereign citizen, and there may be some in here, it doesn't matter, but the sovereign citizens believe that the sheriff is the only legitimate law enforcement executive in the United States because we're elected and it's in the Constitution. There are only 3,000 in the United States. Indiana is one of 3 states where the sheriff is term limited. So you can only do 2 consecutive terms. It's the same as the coroner, the auditor, the clerk, the governor, the sheriff. I'm in my 2nd term on my way out, but I don't want to go out on a bad note. I've actually had someone come to me and ask me to stop busloads of people coming into Cass County. And my exact answer is 1950s Alabama ended a long time ago. We are America. The things that make us great also make us bad. We are the land of opportunity and the betterment of people. We're a land of immigrants.
I'm going to jump on that real quick, because on Sunday, Matt and I spoke. Can anybody tell me a statue in Logansport? A history statue? Anybody been to Gettysburg and seen some of our history and some of these wars? There is a statue at our city building. It represents, veterans and those type of things. But there is one statue in our town. It was dedicated to the immigrants that came into Cass County and Logansport. So I have to jump on the sheriff's coattails here and say, when I drive around and I see a statue or somebody posts that on Facebook, maybe not a lot of us know that, but that statue is downtown. It was built a few years ago and dedicated to the immigrants of Cass County and the city of Logansport. So when you look at our history as Logansport, I think that's a fundamental piece of history. And it does, I think it says a lot for our small little community of the land of opportunity and those things. So with that as well, I think a lot of times, I was gone over the last city council meeting, but I've been dealing with this with the sheriff for the last few weeks and tried to head it up, and not ending on a bad note. He's got a couple years left, and same here. So when I looked at that, what a leadership challenge we both had, coming into COVID, coming into George Floyd, some riots, different things, and then now we're heading this up. So it's been a definitely challenging 5 or 6 years on a leadership front. And we're dealing with some things we've never seen before. And how do we combat that, right? And I wasn't at the last city council meeting, but I did watch it, and that sparked a lot of concern for me because there's a lot of concerns in the public. And then there were some concerns that I had following that, and that's when Pastor Aaron randomly texted me and showed up at the office, told him I had an idea, and that's what led to this. I think there's, like the sheriff just mentioned about his role, city government really has no way to stop people from moving into our community. Did any city official come to your house and ask you when you moved to Logansport, or how did you get here? That's not what we do, right? We can't go knock on doors and ask, or those type of things. It's not what we can do. We can't load people up on buses. We have jurisdiction in the state of Indiana. That's it. We don't have federal jurisdiction. And even based on that, if you really look into the U.S. immigration laws and rules, they're very, very perplexed, very deep, very hard to understand. And I skimmed over some of them tonight. I shared some with Pastor Aaron. Indiana's not or Logansport, I'll say that, is not a sanctuary city where we would conduct busloads of migrants or whoever coming into our community. We're not that. Indiana does have some laws on immigration. We do know that. You can Google it and look at it. But there's a lot of things there's a lot of litigation and different things that hinder us from doing some of those federal stuff or what the state provides, if that makes sense to the crowd.
So I visited the southwest border last November and talked to sheriffs there. I actually went to the sector, saw the immigration, saw the people come across, illegal immigration. And two things came to mind that right now as we're talking topics. The sheriffs and the Texas Highway Patrol and the people who were there, their phrase to us is, our problem today is your problem tomorrow. And the fact that there's no control, it's all policy, it's above us. It's federal policy. No matter what your politics are, it's federal government policy. That's dictated. And seeing the families, granted, we talk about the teenage, military age male coming from all these countries, and there are a lot of countries that we don't have diplomatic consultations with. So there's no way to check coming in if they're a murderer, rapist, or whatever it is. And some are coming in so quickly they can't do that. Coupled with the fact all these families coming in, and the immigration system is the way it is, that some of these people are getting dates to have their immigration challenged in court in 2028. That part of the system is broken. There are people who legitimately want to come here and want to do things, want to make a better way of life. They want to help their families, but our system doesn't allow that, and it's so overwhelmed. So there are a lot of these federal things that come back. Like, I can't check his immigration status. I can't check your immigration status. We don't have that capability. And what I will tell you is we're getting commingled between legal and illegal. And everybody says, well, what about all these illegal Haitians are here? They're not illegal. They're coming here to our area under a very specific immigration policy. And is it HNCV?
And you may be familiar with the CHNV, parolee bill. And then there's a temporary protective status from the hurricane, I believe, a handful of years ago. And I don't want to misquote the year it happened, but the government put bills into place, a temporary protective status to allow people to come into our country. And then there's a bill that was passed a couple of years ago. It's called CHNV, and I'm not going to speak on it. But it's Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, Venezuelan parolee bill. It allows 30,000 people to come to our country a month. And again, that's what it's called. You guys can do your own research on that. But that allows temporary status to come to the United States. It's a work status. And I don't know if you have any insight on that or want to comment on that. Maybe you know a little bit more, maybe you don't. Not to put you on the spot, but those two pieces of information were dropped on my desk a few months ago, so I had to educate myself on it as well, because I do agree with the sheriff. I think the lines get blurred on what's legal and what's illegal. Well, they're illegal. They got driver's license. No, if they're here on this temporary status, that they can. So, if you got something to say on it,
TPS essentially provides you right to work and function within the United States. You just don't have every single right as a U.S. citizen, but majority of them, the right to work, the right to drive, all of those different things. It's temporary because there's a limited amount of time that you have before you renew it if it's still available. And let me tell you, it is expensive to renew. And most of the time it's every 18 months. And so a family of 7 like mine, for example, each person $400 and something every 18 months if you don't have it. So looking at it from that standpoint, we are often documented. So there's like this legal, illegal, but documented. We may not be full citizen, but if you're documented and you're legal, you can function within the confines of your community, as long as you don't break the law. As long as you don't break the law, and you every time you need to renew, you renew it. You are an abiding community member.
So that brings me to another question, as far as crime. So with this increase, has there been an increase in crime that you guys have dealt with?
Let me backtrack with that first. So you look at crime statistics; they're all over the place, and we don't track nationality. There are a lot of prohibitions in our country that prohibit you from doing certain EEO type of activities. So when I became sheriff in 2019, our jail had between 240 and 260 people, and we were paying to house people out, $40 a day. Whether you agree with the jail addition or not, it's about $25 million, added about 167 beds, give or take 1 or 2. Moved our maximum capacity up to about around 387. We can only be at 80%, so it puts us at 304, 306, depending on the math and what a bunk is. But what that addition allowed us to do is spread out our inmate population. So now we classify, because before, if you came in, you ended up wherever the open bed was. We had beds on the floor, we had beds in the corners, we had plastic beds like the little Hot Wheels beds. We call them boats. They were everywhere. Our population in the jail today, what's my number, is 189 from 260. So that jail addition has allowed us to spread people out and add programming. That 189 is a misnomer because we're housing 5 for Carroll County, 50 for Howard County, and 17 for DOC. So that means that 72 that we have in the Cass County Jail, they're being paid for by somebody else. We're never going to make money, but we can help offset our costs. I'm from Pioneer, so it took me a minute to do the math. That's 117. We went from 260 to 117. My calls for service before Chief gets into his data, in 2023, today's number, they tracked sequentially. Our CAD number was 12,086. Today, it's 10,848. So we're down 1,238 calls from this exact day in 2024 compared to 2023. So we're not seeing this dramatic increase in crime. Now, we're not saying that it's not happening. It's not getting reported to us. We don't know about it. And I'll segue to the chief with his data.
I was asked by a council member to go back about 6 weeks and kind of look at some information. So from September 1st to Sunday, October 27th. So just almost over a month, almost 2 months, we had 570 traffic stops. I went back and looked at 2023 to see what those numbers were, and we had 547. So not a big difference in traffic numbers, right? I also kind of look at it as the sheriff did, our men and women were provided a brand new facility too. They were out working. They took a lot more pride in what they were doing. They were out working maybe a little harder or whatever the case may be. When I look at total calls for service, and I have it all wrote down because I broke down 4 years. 2024 so far this year, we've taken 12,000 calls for service. When I look at 2023's totals, it was 15,197. I can break that down continually further and further what our officers are seeing and what they're doing. I did talk to our Cass County Drug Task Force this evening and during the day. When you look at their numbers of total investigations from January till now, 71 cases investigated. And he broke it down by month. From January of 23 to December of 23, 199 cases investigated. And that's just from our task force. And we share officers that work together, and it's a Cass County Drug Task Force, and they work together specifically and solely on drugs. So when you look at those numbers from a drug standpoint, we had almost 200 last year, and you're at 71 cases this year, and this year's we got about 2 months left. So there's some different factors in there. When I look at crime, Sheriff and I sat down and we looked at it. There was nothing that stuck out. I'll just give an example. Burglaries. There was nothing, and I don't have the number without going through it. I don't want to waste the time bending down and looking at it. But when we look at those numbers, there's there's 50 of them. This year there's right around the same, right? So there's nothing that's outstanding or outlavish. Like we had 1,000 traffic stops last year, and this year we have 8,000. We're not seeing those numbers. We're not seeing the numbers on our drug arrests skyrocket. Because that's what we got asked, is the Haitian community causing more crime in our community. And I'm not going to answer in that sense. I'm going to answer as overall totality of what we're seeing. And the numbers, as the sheriff's numbers, are averaging the same, I would say, over the last 4 years.
There are 0 Haitians in the Cass County Jail right now. I asked. One of the questions that comes up, what do we do with ICE, Immigration's Customs Enforcement? We send everybody who comes in who's not from the United States, born in the United States, we send their name through ICE. That's the relationship. I can't get you an exact number, but they have put a hold or a detainer on between 12 and 15 this year. That's it. When you think about the entire immigrant community and where we are, it's not, and Travis and I have talked about this quite a bit, there's not this overt sign of crime. And what we believe is, as communities change and you move, it's kind of like traveling with your family, as an example we talked about. If you go to Spain with your family, you kind of stay with your family. You don't venture out a lot. And we think it's the same thing here. As these families are moving in, they're inclusive. They're not involving us or calling the police for services. You know, there's that timidity to it. People are scared. You go to a lot of countries, all the police, the cops are corrupt. You know, you're going to give them a bribe. You're going to do this. You're lucky if they don't beat you, and that carries through. And we think some of that happens here as well. Is that's the belief. I don't believe that. We really try to police our own and don't allow that to happen. But that's the perception. And what we believe is that this isn't a crime issue we're talking about. This is a human services, health and human services, the hospital, the health department, the schools. Not saying down the road it won't happen, but we all hear these stories of, talked about the buses. It was kind of a facetious story, but it's true. But, you know, we hear the story of the person at the ATM who's being stalked by the group of Haitian males. Are you able to validate that? A lot of these continue to propel themselves that grow legs, and we can't put a stop to it. We don't know why, but it's through social media and it's through stories and other people and their families, and we haven't been able to validate some of those.
It also sounds like we're a community that's scared, rightfully so, because it's something new. There's a rupture happening, and sometimes our human nature is to be protective. And sometimes when we're scared, we do things that are simply not right, unjust, and or not from the right place. I know when my daughter is playing with friends and one of her friends is like hitting her or taking her toys, I want to step in. I know that feeling, but I have to let her handle it. But so it's a similar feeling, rightfully so, right? But how do we as a community, especially in this current context, as people of God, engage in that? That's the question that I'm curious about. What is our duty as Christians to interact and live within our current reality? Because it's not going to change anytime soon, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree, right? And then I can say that a few weeks ago when this kind of broke loose, Fox 59 News come to my office, and the sheriff joined me, but went off camera, of course. He held up signs for me to read. Joke? No, we didn't. Yeah. So when they came, that it was one thing that we were looking about it, and Ed just briefly touched on it. But this right now, what we're seeing, this is a social service in a health department issue, right? This stemmed from a health department information that was put out there. And when you look at it from a social service standpoint, that's where it's at right now. So we can't speak for the schools. I can't speak for Tyson. I can't speak for a lot of other things. So what I can speak for, alongside the sheriff, is public safety. And when I can't say that our officers or deputies are not dealing with the Haitian community, because we are. We make traffic stops on them. We made a couple arrests the other day. I don't feel it's any different than what we're doing with any part of our other community as well, to be fair across the board. So when we look at that, those entities have to be involved in what's going on as well, but we can't speak for those entities. And that's what I told the news, several news stations and channels and reporters as well. So you want answers on those things, you have to go ask them. I'm not their spokesperson. So with those issues that we see, because it builds up rumors and everything else, the sheriff and I were like, hey, we need to do something to be transparent with our
So we have like 10 minutes. Open it up. Anybody have any questions? Hold on. You got to.
You guys only asked like one question for him, so take it easy on the sheriff up here.
All right, now I'm getting
No.
if you've made arrests, TPS, temporary protected status, does that do anything to hinder justice? If you arrest someone and they're under TPS, does that say, okay, you're not going to jail? Or if I was arrested for the same thing, am I in jail for 6 months? If someone under TPS is arrested, are they in jail for 50 minutes and then shipped out to ICE and relocated somewhere else?
No.
I'm gonna answer because I feel like the question may be two parts. Let me try to think how you ask the question. There's no difference in arrest. If I can put it as an example, let's say an OWI. 2 people arrested for an OWI, they're going to be charged with that OWI, just a straight line OWI, right? So they're going to be charged with that. Now, the second part is if they're sitting in jail together, correct? Is that what you're asking? And how long is each person? Are they Are they different because of their TPS status or American citizen status? I'll let the sheriff answer that.
There's no change in that. We can't check their status. We may send that information to immigration, but again, over this whole year where we process in a couple hundred people a month, when we only talk about 12 to 15 they picked up, they're looking for the habitual criminal involved in probably personal injury crime type things, and that's not what we see, nor not what we had the experience with. So, I would be sorry to say that you'd be sitting in the same cell block area as TPS. Does that answer the question that what you're asking? We just
The law is not different because they're on
Right.
TPS.
Right.
As far as that goes, they have to abide by the exact same law that's provided as everybody in this room. And real quick with that too, because I know we're going to get to questions. We have to provide the same service. I can't provide a different service to the sheriff or to anybody different on the stage. So as law enforcement, the service is provided equally across the board, right, to protect and serve, and that's what we try to do. No matter whose house we go to knock on or whoever's in that car that we stop.
the difficulty in that service though for us is translation, the communication aspect. I mean, we can do Google translators and little things like that. We use in the jail. We use, we have translators. We do all kind of things. But finding Haitian Creole or French Creole, almost impossible. We muddle through that using, I don't have any French translators. We end up using Spanish. And that's how we were able to communicate the best way. But that's probably the main impediment for us, is that communication aspect. And some of the Haitians we run across don't speak English. So that I mean, I got stuck in Spain on a school trip with my youngest boy for 2 extra days because there was somebody sick, and it was a very sad, sick feeling because I don't speak un poquito, and I mean, it's difficult, and we had to navigate. We had to go find a hotel. I mean, because we were now out of the school trip, and it's a disheartening feeling. I mean, you are outcast. Sounds wrong and bad, but that's really you're different, and how do you navigate that? And we made it, but it was a struggle, and it was very, very stressful. And I can't imagine picking up my family and moving to some place where I don't know the customs, I don't know, the language, I don't know if I have a job. All those things, just like he talked about, the strength of the family and of their faith to do something like that is phenomenal. And I think that's part of the message we miss.
Hold on.
I'll add a little bit to that. More often than not, they don't really have a choice in terms of that's their only option coming here.
So I don't know if this is for this group, but as the population changes even in Kokomo, and I come from IV Tech, so we're working with the Korean population coming in. We work with a group out of Lafayette that is helping first responders, educating them on different hand signals and things like that. Also educating the community. Do you know of a group that does that and educates on the Haitian population, also on language, just food, culture, and then also our first responders? Is there a group like out there that you are aware of?
So I sat through the cultural diversity. I think her name was Sue. Is that the group you're talking about? So Sue came in and spoke with all the first responders in the area. It was about a 2-hour cultural diversity class on South Koreans that are going to be moving minutes away from our community. So I've reached out. I had a meeting not too long ago, I'd say back at the beginning of summer, with a couple pastors from the area and asked for that. I have not received it yet, but I do know the school just sat down, I believe, with somebody from Notre Dame, and they had something go on with that. I wasn't able to attend that. I don't know if you were. And I know we have something coming up here in the next week. I think Monday, I believe, with somebody from the Haitian community, sit down and talk to some public officials and leaders.
So it's a great question. We're trying. I'm going to speak a little bit about an investigation that was done by the Indiana Gaming Police, you remember about a year and a half ago, they came in, they hit is the term, they raided several businesses. And in most cultures, there's usually like one or two leaders, and they've told us, and what we figured out, there's not like one or two people that are kind of navigating and trying to coordinate and building a community outreach within the Haitian community. They're all like individuals, if that makes sense. There's not somebody, there's not one general place we can go, because it sounds bad to say fragmented, but they're all individuals. They're in their own family unit. There's not like a church like this that we've been able to pick up and go visit with or talk to. It's not that there hasn't been an attempt to try to do that, because we want to be welcoming, but we want to do our jobs and be professional about it. And that's all part of that, is trying to learn how to communicate and understanding. An example is, and I don't know if this is true, but we've been told that in Haiti, the police officers drive around with their lights on all the time. But here, we don't. And when you see the lights, to them, that's normal course of business. But that usually means, hey, you better pull to the right, because either you're about to get stopped or they're going to go by you. So it's a little bit of that you're talking about, but we're trying to facilitate that education process.
Got our time for one more here.
So you say you don't pay a lot of attention to Facebook or social media. It has been on Facebook that there is a brothel where the village peddler used to be. Is there any truth to that? And if
I knew that there was two elephant in the room questions. That's one. The Walmart's the next. So
and if there is, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's funny, because I actually had this conversation. There's no factual basis to that information. There's a rumor on Facebook to that information. That doesn't mean that law enforcement is not aware of the rumors. There's some things we can't be transparent on, and some things I will be transparent on. Just same with the sheriff. We are aware of it. If there's an investigation that would occur, and if that is going on, obviously it would be the people would be charged with crimes that would fit from probable cause. So we're aware of it. We've heard the rumors too. We actually probably heard the rumors before any of these stories broke. So there's things that we do behind the scenes that we can't talk about in a public setting. And I'm not saying they're being investigated. I'm not saying that they're not being investigated. What I'm saying is, from our perspective on the public safety side, there's some things that we can't talk about because it could be an ongoing case, or it could be an ongoing prosecution, and we can't speak for the prosecutor on those things as well. So we're aware of it, and I feel that we'll do our jobs when that time comes. So is that?
I'd like to add to that. As police officers, we're held to a higher legal standard. I know at a certain residence that they're doing certain criminal activities, but I have to be able to investigate it and prove it to arrest them. And I tell people that we live in the Midwest, and I could pick somebody today and put you in jail for 47 hours. You're probably going to sue me, but the Constitution says a police officer can do that to file the probable cause. We live in the Midwest. On the East Coast and West Coast, they probably flirt with probable cause a little more than we do. But the Midwest, we like to get warrants and have a judicial oversight in what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to get my news from Facebook. Unfortunately, somebody always sends me Facebook information, and I have to shake my head and wonder, when there's a city council meeting and there's things that are discussed, and again, I wasn't there. I think my assistant chief was going to throw me out of the window because he had to go to it. But the point being is, then 2 days later, there's something posted on Facebook of a crime happening, but nobody called dispatch. So again, I don't want to open Pandora's. I don't want to open a box here, but I do want to attack an elephant in the room because I feel there's probably another question in the room. So I'm going to answer this question that has to deal with Walmart. Was anybody going to ask that before I get into it? Because if not, I won't get into it. I figured you was. So thank you. So again, I heard we were getting a lot of rumors about Walmart and the Haitian community, and these crimes were happening. And I got one off of Facebook sent to me that, and I'm not down to downplay any of the information. It wasn't coming to us. If somebody's attacked in Walmart or somebody's getting their purse stolen in Walmart and they have to run and things are happening, no one's calling us. So just for instance, we had 124 calls to Walmart since January 1st to date that we could find in our system. There was one person arrested for trespass. Out of 124 calls, the rest of them were theft calls. I don't even know what the trespass involved, if that makes sense, right? But I hear a lot of rumor in the community, or what I read on Facebook is, you go to Walmart, you're going to be harassed and you're going to be beat up in an aisle or pushed down or robbed. And I'm not saying it has not happened. What I'm saying is no one's contacted dispatch to say these things are happening so we can send a deputy or an officer to those locations. So that's Walmart seems to be a hot issue, just like the question you asked, man.
And you reached out to Walmart, right?
Did. So I reached out to Walmart a week or so ago, and we actually have a meeting coming up. And I talked to them about the rumors that I've heard. They've heard the same rumors. And again, when I spoke to Walmart, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but when I spoke to the manager there, he said, "Hey, Chief, I hear the same thing. I hear they're blocking aisles or there's people being rude. I can't do anything about somebody being rude. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's against the law. It's not against the law to be rude to somebody. And I've been rude to people in my life. Sheriff, so I know those things happen. People's been rude to me. I try to lead the conversation, I guess. But obviously, some people feel uncomfortable in those environments. And by all means, that's what dispatch gets paid for. That's what our deputies and our police officers get paid for. But for the big part of that rumor mill on Facebook, even now, even till today, even with everything going on and all the rumors about it, we still haven't had a call to Walmart yet on stalking or an argument or whatever the case may be, or somebody being rude. Still hasn't happened.
I think it's important to note with that everyone has a cell phone. I mean, the calls we get now for things on the roadway, there's a box, there's a tire, there's a squirrel that ran across. I mean, it sounds funny, but with everybody having a cell phone, and we tell people, if you're in danger, we're not saying the crime's not happening. We're just saying it's not coming to the police. And if you hear it, you're a victim, please call, no matter what it is. That's what we do.
I know, Walmart has cameras, so I know that things can be reviewed by law enforcement once we arrive. I know we get videotaped quite a bit with cell phones. So, and we have our own body cams. Every officer working the road, including the sheriff's department, our officers wear body cams if they're out working their shifts. So, as far as that goes, I just want to put that out there that we have it as well when we arrive. So, I think we started that a couple of years ago from both departments. So.
Giving Walmart a lot of press, a lot of free press.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't work for Walmart. They don't pay me. Please don't start any rumors with that. I don't take. So.
I think the last comment for me is talking about social media. I don't pay attention because I get death threats. I get phone. It is crazy. My blood pressure will be 300 over 200 if I looked at social media all the time. But we are from this community. We've grown up here. This is our home. We want the best. And we work hard to do that. We communicate. We work synergistically. And, again, we're not saying some of these things aren't happening. We're saying we're not involved in it because it's not being reported. And the community I grew up in was welcoming and receiving, and it's looking for a better way of life. And I hear and see some of these things very disheartening because we have no factual basis to validate it. If we could, we would be. Hopefully you picked up from both of us. We're very honest, straightforward, wear our emotions on our sleeves and say, hey, we'll tell you the good news and the bad news. And right now, we don't have what people are looking for from us as in the criminal justice and the policing world.
And we don't, because I get calls. My wife just gave me the look. So we get calls all the time, emails all the time. I bother the sheriff. My wife has told me that a couple of times. Like, hey, don't bother him. He's probably eating dinner, and he answers the phone. So, or he calls me at the same time. So we try to be very transparent with the public and try to be very informative. And if we don't have the answers, we have the resources to get the answers. Whether we're working with the Indiana State Police Post 16, which they've been over in my office twice, and they're coming back to help combat some issues. They actually have a Trooper Duke, I believe is his Lavage, sorry. He's Haitian. He speaks speaks 5 or 7 different languages.
7 languages, yes.
And he's going to come over and help the Logansport Police Department. So we are reaching out. There's certain things that we just don't put out in the public, but we have this young man going to come over. He is with the state police. He's going to help us out, work our front desk and help our detectives and some officers out there on a translation, because right now what we're seeing is the communication problem. And real quick is the with the communication problem, if I want to hire a interpreter, I have to vet them. I have to make sure they're credible. If it's a case that's going to go to court, I have to make sure they can go to court and testify on what they were saying as well. Right now, those things are really hard to do. I'm going to jump on the sheriff's coattails to end this as well, because I know we all got things to do this evening. But I moved back to this community after serving in the United States Army for 8 years. I moved them back because I knew what this community meant to me. I moved my children back and I raised them here. I have a daughter who's graduated high school here, a son who's graduated high school here, is now in the Air Force. I have another son that's a senior here, and I was fortunate enough to be blessed with 3 more boys that are playing sports and they're in the schools here as well. So I know what this community meant to me. I could have went anywhere in the world, and I've been fortunate to be well-traveled as well on Uncle Sam's dime, unfortunately. So when I look at those things, I wanted to come back here and make a positive impact in our community of what it meant to me. So just kind of jump on the sheriff's coattails. Even though he's from Pioneer, I won't hold it against him, but it's where we put our roots at and where we grew at, and I take the good with the bad no matter what. So.
Stenway, last words from you. Give us some last minute. What's the Holy Spirit telling you right now?
Really just, if I can leave here saying one thing, just as much as you can, try to put yourself in their shoes. The people you interact, put yourself in their shoes. If you had your family and you were in their situation, how would you want the people in the community that you've been basically scattered out of nowhere to engage you? Would you want them to be intentional? Would you want them to be welcoming? And if it is, then how do we try to embody that? Whether that's learning one single word, even if it's just one single word, bonjour, hello, good morning, bonjour. It's simple things like that, right? So I would leave with placing yourself in their shoes, exercising empathy with those that you encounter, and maybe that might begin to shift your perspective and also theirs.
Let's give them a round of applause. They've been great tonight. It's good. It's good to have a seat. Yes, sir. Hang on. You got Mike. They're not going to be able to hear this online, so
That's true. So I wanted to say that I'm not seeing what the community keeps posting on Facebook and all the negativity. I'd probably got 20% of our customers that come through, get their cars worked on, and he's right. They are very family oriented. They look out for each other. I've actually had them look out for me. They leave me phone number if I need interpreters. They will come in if they're near to interpret. Super polite, well-behaved children. So I guess the elephant in the room with Walmart, you guys need to stop and think. like he said, they're coming here, they don't know what's going on. Who here actually likes to go to Walmart?
We're not going
Throw
there, Troy.
yourself into their shoes and go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Or go in and try to talk to me that has no clue what you're saying and try to figure it out over a computer and tell me your car is making this noise and doing this. So to overcome that and still leave with a smile, I mean, I think that people just need to open their eyes and see that they're not the problem. It's how we view other stuff around us.
That's good, Troy. Thank you so much. Thanks, Troy. Appreciate that. Let me just wrap up with a couple of words as we close this out tonight. You know, I don't know if there's anybody in the room tonight that's Jewish. Maybe somebody is. I'm not. I am so thankful that God let me in his family, even though I'm not one of his children. I was adopted into his family. If you're Gentile, it means not Jewish. God let you in, and he brought you into a place that you weren't rightfully supposed to be. But we got to be there anyway. Any of us that are Gentiles in the room, God has done for us what he's asking us to do in our community, and that's love people that are a little different than us. Paul says these words to us. If you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. You should not look out for your own interests, but also for the interests of others. That is the Christ followers' call. That's our call in Cass County right now, to live that out. We don't have all the answers tonight. This wasn't about having all the answers. This was about getting some information. Do you feel a little bit more informed tonight through this? Was this helpful for you tonight? I hope it was. That was our goal. I know that the mayor was going to ask to be fired. I hope you're not going to fire me tonight because of having this meeting. I'm trying to avoid that, right? But I am here because I care about the issue, and I care about our community, and this church cares about this community, right? We are called to show love to the least, the last, the lost. And today that just happens to be 3,000 Haitians or so, however many there are that have come into our community. May we be Christ to them. Amen? Father God, help us to show your love through tenderness and compassion. May we really have that heart of Christ that showed tenderness and compassion to us. So we did not deserve salvation. You gave it to us anyway, Jesus. And tonight, as we are grateful for inviting us into the family, may we be people that invite others into your family. May they know you, Jesus, because they saw you in us. Amen. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you've got questions, I'll be around for a little bit. I'm sure I'd be happy to talk to you a little more.